Hello, I'm John Tobacco. Happy New Year to you, our audience, and welcome to The Count, where we're counting down the major stories of this week. Kicking off The Count tonight is story number 10, political theater. The anniversary of January 6th on Thursday was, as expected. The day was riddled with political theater and an opportunity seized upon by Democrats to continue to lay false claims out there about that day. The Democrats made the day all about former President Donald Trump, who else, and his supporters, but also the Republican Party overall. On January 6th last year, then President Trump spoke to his supporters at a peaceful rally at the Capitol.
I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard.
Peacefully. Peacefully, you can hear the words there, but President Joe Biden comes out and heaps blame on Trump in his speech just Thursday morning.
The former president and his supporters have decided the only way for them to win is to suppress your vote. For the first time in our history, a president had not just lost an election, he tried to prevent the peaceful transfer of power, has created and spread a web of lies about the 2020 election. He's done so because he values power over principle.
Though Biden did not mention him by name, he repeatedly referred to the former president of the United States. But the clear message throughout the day on Thursday was one of lashing out, not only on those who carried out the despicable acts on that day, but basically slamming all conservatives. And to talk about it, let's bring in Republican Congressman from Arizona, Andy Biggs. Congressman, thanks for joining us tonight.
John, thanks for having me.
We knew the Democrats would go crazy and make January 6th about blaming Trump. Obviously, that's their whole campaign model for next year. But they're throwing around words like insurrection. And I've done a lot of work on research on this. No one is charged with insurrection. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, John, that's exactly right. Well, it fits their narrative, right? I mean, so you have over 700 people have been charged with one crime or another, maybe in trespassing, maybe in an assault or something like that. But nobody's been charged with insurrection. Nobody's been charged even with conspiracy. Nobody's been charged with inciting a riot. But their narrative is to try to say that Donald Trump was responsible for every bad thing that has ever happened in America, but particularly the violent people who got into the Capitol on January 6th.
Yeah, look, Congressman, I'm the son of a cop, and I have all the respect in the world for law enforcement and police officers. It's important to remember that some people took matters into their own hands. We don't condone that, obviously. But Donald Trump himself, you heard his words earlier in the piece, he said to people, let's go down there peacefully. So how do they just lay it at his feet?
Well, because, John, truth isn't necessary for them to make their narrative, right? I mean, if it was, then they'd have a completely different narrative. But when they're constructing their narrative, they're trying to set up a demon, and that's Donald Trump. I mean, it goes back to before he was ever elected, when he came down big escalators. I mean, they've been trying to demonize this guy and go after him and weaponize government. So they want to weaponize language, too. And you and I we can't do that, because you and I have some kind of ethical responsibility to say what's what. But that's why, John, if I just one quick thing, I'll just add this to it. That's why the January 6th committee that Pelosi set up has actually already changed the crime that they want to go after Trump for. It used to be incitement of a riot, but there's no evidence of that at all. So now they're saying, well, he didn't speak soon enough to stop the people who were interrupting the process of Congress. So that somehow is his fault as well.
Yeah. Totally glossing over to the fact that the day before he offered National Guard protection to come down, and Nancy Pelosi, the head of the Capitol Police, said, "No, we don't want your National Guardsmen here." So I think he was proactive, if anything. Things certainly got out of hand. Some of what happened that day was inexcusable, like we talked about. It was supposed to be a peaceful protest. And to me, it was. I was there. For most, it was peaceful. People were playing music. They were it was like a swan song to Trump, the way I felt like it. It went bad at the last minute. But Kamala Harris will have you believe that the entire Republican Party was out there that day rioting.
We cannot let our future be decided by those bent on silencing our voices, overturning our votes, and peddling lies and misinformation by some radical faction that may be newly resurgent, but whose roots run old and deep.
Congressman, this one hits me personal because I saw her go on to say that she compared this to 9/11. As a New Yorker and a Staten Islander, I have close family and friends that had really tight people to us that were lost on that day with 3,000 dead. How is this akin to those moments in history?
Well, her comments were reprehensible. I mean, they were the travesty that I thought we'd hear. I mean, President Biden's were horrible, but Kamala Harris's were just so out of bounds. There's no comparison at all. I mean, I think back to what she was really saying. I mean, you're saying that running 4 jetliners into buildings and killing thousands upon thousands of Americans by terrorists who were suicidal. Right. And really did want to change our government. Or you think about Pearl Harbor, where I know a Pearl Harbor survivor, one of the last few that are alive. And I can tell you this, it is this notion that what happened on January 6th, a riot that lasted a few hours, is in no way indicative of the war on terror engendered by 9/11 that cost thousands of U.S. lives and other lives around the world, sure. Nor the World War II, Pearl Harbor, which engendered basically U.S. participation in the war in the Pacific against Japan, which tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of Americans died, and we changed the country.
Complete insanity, over 5,400 dead, just Pearl Harbor and 9/11. 1 dead, and we barely hear about that. Arizona Congressman Andy Biggs, thanks so much for joining us tonight. We appreciate it.
Thanks, John.